Who doesn't love Tokusatsu bad guys? Let's return once again to the world of Kamen Rider with the Greeed. Hey everyone! The Greeed are the main antagonists of Kamen Rider OOO? Is that how you pronounce that? Anyways, these are homunculi types that gain consciousness and are composed of metals created by alchemists in the past. With all of this, you can bet it will be fun to reimagine them using Speculative. So please, unlike these guys, don't be greedy with your likes, hypes and subscribes. They really help our channel grow. And now, without further ado, let's get started. Given the way our own bodies work, as a whole that can be severely hindered by the loss of its parts, the existence of organisms being composed of several different, independent parts is, while not a new concept, certainly a disturbing one, and one that has inspired the curiosity of human minds since ancient times. Few of these have been as extensively studied since before the advent of modern science than the organisms known as Greeed. This term encompasses a wide variety of hydrozoans belonging to order Fracticorpus, from subclass Hydroidolene, which also contains siphonophores. Like the latter, the Greeed are colonial organisms, composed of a variety of individual animals known as zoids, and among the very few organisms of this type that are adapted to life outside of the water. One issue many hydrozoans face in a land habitat is the very reduced water availability, as these soft-bodied organisms can very easily dehydrate when facing droughts. In the case of the Greeed, this issue has been solved by their ability to enter diapause, halting all of their physiological processes as a response to the absence of water, thus remaining in dormancy until conditions are favorable once again. These organisms are, for the most part, non-specific parasites, often latching onto larger organisms to feed on them, using toxins to keep their host subdued and subtly altering their behavior. That said, predatory behavior is not rare even in parasitic species. The properties of these hydrozoans led to early naturalists and alchemists developing a great interest in them, with alchemists in particular securing colonies which they would selectively breed in order to experiment with to their liking, with special interest in the way their parts seem to survive even after being separated from one another. These early researchers developed two general classifications for the zoids that conformed the Greeed, which are still used in scientific literature. The first of these are the core zoids, also known, due to their properties, as organizer zoids. These are a result of the particular biology of these organisms, as, despite being biologically separate organisms, all zoid colonies begin their lives together, developing from a single zygote, only separating into individual, differentiated zoids as they develop and mature. Core zoids form the basic backbone, so to speak, of the colony, forming attachment points for the rest of the colony and providing a relatively advanced nerve ring, much more developed and derived compared to that of other hydrozoans, a necessity for organisms with more developed sensing and locomotor organs than those of their closest relatives. Depending on the species, this nerve ring can be formed by anywhere from 1 to 3 core zoids, and any number of functional zoids attached to them. This would be the cell zoids, which act as the sensing, digestive and locomotor organs of the colony. However, one of their main interests to early researchers were their defensive capabilities, including toxin production and the ability to shoot jets of water and air at potential attackers, which can only be detected thanks to their more advanced senses and nerve ring. Without this colony, the core zoids are incapable of sensing or interacting with their environment in any way. As for the cell zoids, they will enter diapause as soon as they are isolated, thus giving time for them to reunite with the rest of their colony. In organisms with higher cognitive functions, such isolation would be enough to drive anyone mad. Finally, the Greeed also hold in their bodies a set of quickly reproducing, asexual zoids, which will produce the delightfully called yummy drones as a defense mechanism. These drones are independent zoids that will drive attention away from the real colony, allowing it to escape unharmed, but cannot survive on their own. The effectiveness of these organisms' diapas can be attested by the fact that many artificial colonies have been recovered from medieval laboratories and successfully reawakened in our own labs after nearly 500 years. Single zoids had been stored inside individual containers, or medals, and upon being reactivated, the core zoids immediately began crawling around in search of the rest of their colonies. According to the notes, this is the reasoning behind their name. It was derived from the term Greeed, meaning voracious or eager to obtain, the same word that would convergently originate the term greed. Seeing the state they were in, we found it inexcusable to prevent them from achieving their task, and in no time the colonies were complete once again. We do regret to inform that some of the colonies did not survive the reawakening process, starving soon after. Posterior study of the remains would show an imperfect compatibility between the zoids, meaning the colonies had attempted to reform with mismatched zoids, the end result being ultimately unviable. The surviving colonies, which are presented in today's illustration, were studied afterwards, and this is what we could gather from the analysis of their particular biology and anatomy, as well as notes taken from said laboratories and translated by our experts. Our first example is Ankh, a flying breed characterized by its enhanced flotation sacs and wide membranes that catch wind currents to keep them aloft, as well as powerful siphons that propel it through the air. No less important are its incredibly potent toxins, capable of incapacitating prey and predator alike. Next is Yuva, an incredibly aggressive colony. This aggressiveness is likely tied to its extreme defense mechanism. While Yuva is much less mobile, it is equipped with conductive projections that release a very potent electrical current, used both for hunting and for defense. The colony, nicknamed Kasari, for its part, is covered in a multitude of protective needles, as well as numerous sensing zoids. It will stalk prey unseen before ramming at full speed with its enhanced siphons, injecting its prey with potent venom. A rather noticeable contrast with the previous colony is Gamel, much larger, slower, and dim-witted even by Hydrozoan standards. It is, however, very well protected by its much thicker hide, as well as its ability to shoot a very dense and sticky mucus. It is used to hold itself to the ground, but can also be used to trap prey, sticking it to whatever surface it is in and leaving it unable to escape or defend themselves as Gamel approaches to feed. Mesol is a rare, much more aquatic colony, representative of a few species that retain such a habitat and show enhanced pressure sensors and swimming membranes. It is much more tolerant to the presence of other colonies than most, likely a result of its habitat giving it greater space to live in. But if threatened, the Mesol colony can shoot water at high pressure from its siphons, often releasing slime similar to that of the hagfish, used to trap other organisms and even suffocate them. Finally, we have Kyoryu, a colony that shows a gliding anatomy essentially similar to that of Ankh, but equipped with a variety of toxic defenses used to alternately stop predators in their tracks or paralyze prey. These animals can be as dangerous as one would imagine, and we wish we could say that was the end of it. But alas, scientific knowledge can easily fall in the hands of those with less noble purposes. With access to this knowledge and biological samples obtained from wild Greeed colonies, organizations such as the Kogami Foundation have been able to engineer their own colonies, including the two shown today. Gouda, a colony equipped with highly venomous and numerous cnidocytes, enabling it to lead a very opportunistic hunting lifestyle. And Poseidon, a well-protected, yet fast-swimming colony equipped with enhanced siphons. While their original purpose may have been merely to show the extent of the company's bioengineering capabilities, the high levels of aggression and toxicity of these colonies have prevented whatever use they were intended for originally. Most unfortunate of all, however, is the creation of one of these organisms by a terrorist organization named Shocker. created to be used as a biological weapon. Its anatomy, indeed, would most reflect that of a military drone thanks to its thrusters and gliding membranes, and its particularly powerful toxins would have made it an incredibly dangerous thing to let loose in the world, had it not been safely contained by the vigilante organization known as Kamen Rider. Since these isolated incidents were fortunately dealt with, scientific research into these organisms continues on, with many experts believing modified, isolated zoids could potentially be used for medicinal purposes, acting as tissue replacement during surgery or therapy, as well as potentially being used to enhance certain properties in economically important animals, or even, controversially, human beings. But that matter is something for another day. And that's it for a speculative biology look into Kamen Rider's Greeed. So first of all, big thanks to Forever Zero for commissioning this one. As we discussed how to bring these fellows to life, we began by looking at the fact they are composed of several metals that could be separated from one another, and I felt something similar to siphonophores would work, especially if we gave them adaptations that helped them survive said separation. This also included giving them their own clade to account for the notable differences between their real organisms and ours, and doing so also allowed us to justify the diversity of species seen in the clade, thus explaining much of their anatomical and physiological variation. Add to that the lore regarding ancient alchemists, which gave our concept a lot of extra flavor, and we had ourselves an episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And as always, here's a thank you to everyone who wanted to see some Kamen Rider and general Tokusatsu stuff. And as always, thank you to our researchers and research associates who support us through Patreon and YouTube memberships. And once again to Forever Zero for commissioning this one. Remember, you too can join in if you want to support our channel, and you get some nice perks like seeing all of our creatures and videos ahead of time and helping mold them into shape. Or you can also like, subscribe, or write a comment telling me any type of creature you would like me to give the Spekibo treatment in the show. Any of those really help the channel a lot. Thank you all for watching, and see you next time on the Speculative Wildlife Research Center.